We're on to another edition of conversing and talking about life as we see it. I like you to know that every single conversation here is no holds barred, designed for us to reflect on our lives and make adjustments. Insight, foresight, hindsight, that's all the life class is about. And today we have a guest who's going to be sharing from her perspectives, her experiences, and her stories, distilling the topic I already shared with you on various platforms. So I want to welcome all those on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter to another edition of the Life Class with Charles. My guest today is no other person but Karen Cleote. You're welcome to the Life Class with Charles, Karen.
Thank you very much, Charles. It's an honor to be here.
It's good to see you, Karen. You look bright and easy like Sunday morning.
Thank you very much. You may be putting me at ease here.
Thanks, Karen. Those who are listening in now want to know who Karen is. Could you tell the audience who's Karen Cloete?
Okay, thank you very much. I started off my career as an auditor. I then went into banking and then went into casinos and spent 30 odd years working in the cash desk in casinos, doing everything from managing the operations and being a cashier and being a shift manager, all the way up to managing the department, doing the strategy, doing system changes, doing project management, budgets, all of that stuff. But my passion has always been training. I always joke that when I wanted to go to university, my father said, you must do a BCom. And I said I wanted to be a teacher. In my whole corporate career, I was the teacher. But when I did the degree, I did a BCom degree. I should have just listened to my dad at 18. But anyway, the training and the learning and development led me to becoming a NLP certified coach in 2008. And I've been using it in my corporate career. But 2 years ago, I was retrenched. And so I saw it as an ideal opportunity to do what really drives my passion. And that's helping other people make a difference in their lives. So I've been doing this now for 2 years, and I've come across some amazing people, worked with a wide variety of people, and just seen change happening, which is always beautifully gratifying.
Wow. Looks illustrious, Karen. As a matter of fact, the moment you said you love to teach, it struck a chord. Because although I'm a lawyer, the real passion is in sharing knowledge, but then, our parents thought otherwise. And in my case, they didn't quite ask me to read law. I chose to read law. But even while I was an undergraduate, I kept teaching my colleagues. I had them just come to me to teach me. And in my final year, I chose to just teach all those who were coming after me for nothing. I just found it interesting whether I got anything from it or not. So it seems like the passion to teach, is a common passion in the room today.
And it's brilliant that you're able to follow that passion with that whole background of law and all the common sense that brings along with it. But I think the world would be a lesser place without you in the teaching role. So I'm very glad you were able to follow it.
Thank you so much, Karen. I welcome you to the Life Class with Charles. In a bit, we're going to be reading today's life class, which is Life is Like a Wristwatch. So ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, you can share your comments, contributions, and questions on any one of our platforms, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, asking any question that resonates with you, or sharing your own perspective. Don't life class. And in the University of Experience, no one is a graduate. The Life Class with Charles. Today, we are reading Life is Like a Wristwatch. Some come with the correct time, some come with the wrong time. Some fast forward theirs to be ahead of time. When the time is right, all you need to do is abide by it. People who do this are born into greatness. When the time is wrong, you pull out the crown, look at the right time, and correct it. People who do this are those who achieve greatness in spite of the odds. When you force the time forward, then you're settling your own record and making greatness even greater. People who do this are those who make history. Life is like a wristwatch. What is it by your time? Life class with Charles. Karen, general thoughts.
I love the idea of the fact that an old analog wristwatch has the hands that just move round and they just keep on moving round. And as that second hand moves round, it moves the minute hand. And as the minute hand moves round, it moves the hour hand. And that's so indicative of life. Whether we look at a wristwatch, whether we look at nature, whether we just look back at our own lives, we can see the patterns. We can see that the movement of that time. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. But when we understand that there's a pattern and a rhythm and we start to work with that, we also make time more pleasant, I think.
Now, when you first saw this life class, really, what struck you the most about life being like a wristwatch?
I also like the fact that you can pull out the bezel and you can move time forward, and that some people do. And I just thought about as a young career woman, always having my watch 5 minutes fast so that I was always on time. And all of the other people who like me and who needed to be in control and needed to be on time, that they were all doing the same thing. And then there were other people who were a little bit behind. And when you look back now, the people who were ahead of time and the people who were behind time, they've sort of all ended up in the same place to a large degree. So I look back with a little bit more wisdom and say, how did it serve me to be a bit ahead of time when somebody who just sort of traipsed along afterwards is pretty much in the same situation. They've created the life they want, they're happy with it. And I think it all comes down to being different personalities and understanding yourself. And to know that if you are somebody who likes to be on time and everything needs to be done in its place, to accept and love yourself for that, and not judge yourself for it. And for the person who maybe is not always on time, who is a little bit behind, to look at those people and understand where's the value that they bring into this situation. It may not be in timekeeping, but where else are they valuable? Why are you keeping them on your team? So I was thinking about that, and then I thought long and hard about what you were saying is some people set their own time and they move to greatness. And we all have people around that in our lives who have set goals and gone for them and work extremely hard to make sure that they achieve them. And it's always inspiring to watch people like that, because they're the people who change the rules, and they're the people who change our perspective on things. So, and I mean, people like that have also created Facebook and Twitter and all the platforms that we're on at the moment. So if it wasn't for people like that who are always ahead of time, always changing things, always trying to move time forward, we maybe wouldn't be connecting the way we are today. And it's gratifying to be able talk from Johannesburg to Lagos, and it's like we're in the same room.
Ladies and gentlemen, Karen is speaking in from Johannesburg, South Africa. And it's that she has used this subject to draw our attention to the fact that we might be in different time zones, but we're having the same conversation. Hassan Abdi is on the call, and sending in his comment from LinkedIn here, he says that life is a struggle, right? In actual fact, Karen, why do people really struggle with time? He looks at life as a struggle. We say life is like a wristwatch. Why do people struggle with time, Karen?
That's a really, really good question, and I would love to know more about what Abdi's referring to in terms of life as a struggle. One of the things I was reminded of very clearly a little while ago was everybody has the same amount of time, but not everybody sees that time in the same way. I recently started writing at the top of my diary. There is time for everything that's important, because for me, it's important to slow down and realize that there is only a certain amount of time. How I use that is going to either help me achieve my goals or work against me. And sometimes I'm going to have to steal a little bit of time. I know a lot of students steal time from sleep so that they can get that extra learning in. And you can do it for short periods of time, but in the long run, it will catch up with you, because sleep is as important as using the time that you have. I also worked in casinos, as I said, for nearly 30 years, and there we work shifts. So it was 24/7, 365. And I was so grateful to work the afternoon shift, which started at 4 in the afternoon and finished at 1 in the morning, or to work the graveyard shift that started at 11 at night and finished at 8 in the morning, because I could sleep when my children were away at school, and then I had time with them in the afternoon. But a lot of the people that I worked with didn't like it and couldn't adjust to the fact that they would be working when people were relaxing, because they had this perception that you work from 8 to 5, and then you're with your family from 5 until 8 or 9, and then you sleep, and then you start the cycle over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to see the different perspectives of time, and trying to get them to open up that perspective and say, yes, I lose a little bit because I'm not with my family from 5 until 9, but I gain a lot more if I'm with my child for 3 or 4 hours before I come to work, when they're awake and they can play and we can talk. And so it's just using the time differently. They also had to work on weekends and public holidays, which was a really difficult mind shift. So life is a struggle in many ways, and it's only through our approach to it and how we change our perspective, which can help us to shift that statement from life as a struggle to sometimes I struggle with life, but I have a plan. And I was talking to somebody earlier about whether you're a victim or a victor, and that's a lovely way of looking at it. Um, to move from I'm at the mercy of time to I have the time to do all the things that I want. So, and it might mean that I have to sacrifice one thing one day so that I can have something that is important to me today, or to do it the other way around, sacrifice something that's important to me today in order for me to have something that I want further down the line. But for me, it's all about perspective, and just looking at your life in a way that empowers you rather than pulls you back.
Looking at your life in a way that empowers you rather than pulling you back. This is interesting, Karen, because people walk into a shop and buy a watch. When they get that watch, the general idea is because They want to keep abreast of the time.
Yes.
But there are many other reasons why people buy a watch.
Yes.
Some people say my watch isn't just a timepiece, it's a fashion item. In which case, if that watch stops working, they'll still carry the watch about because it is, in some sense, it speaks to fashion. So, really, I find it interesting that you want to look at the perspective. If it's not working as a watch, if the watch isn't showing the time, the watch is a fashion piece. The watch is an antique, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So I love that analogy. So when you said, the perspective on how you look at life, rather than look at it from empowering you, rather than look at it from, draining you. So you got this watch, and you can call it an antique, you can call it a fashion piece, or you can call it a time piece. A watch can do many things. Interesting, Carol.
Absolutely.
I'll look at the first line here. It says, some come with the correct time. So you buy a wristwatch and it's telling you the exact time. These are people who are born great, or those people who are in the right place at the right time. Has that ever happened to you, Carol?
I think life is just a symphony of synchronicities. The fact that we're born into a place to certain parents determines where we're going to go to school, what we're going to learn, what religion we're going to be to a large extent, although that is changing. It changes so many things. My decision to not go to university because I couldn't do teaching, it was it was a synchronicity. My life could have been very, very different if I'd gone to university. Um, and so I think it life. Somebody said to me the other day that luck is made when what is it? When preparation meets synchronicity, okay, or preparation meets opportunity. So
That's correct.
we can all learn the same things. We can all be in the same class at school, but there's going to be one kid who figures out that if I start this business, I can make a good living. And the other 20 or 30 people in the class were in there for the same time, they learned the same things, and yet they didn't see that opportunity. So what is that one thing in that person that made them look at that opportunity and go, this is it, I'm going to move forward with this? And then they put in the time and the effort and the planning and the learning, and they get what they want. So the fact that I learned neuro-linguistic programming as my coaching mode is also purely just because of timing. I spoke to two organizations. They would, neuro-linguistic programming is very, very different to rapid results coaching. And I really wanted to do the rapid results, but they never came back to me. But the Min McLaughlin with neuro-linguistic programming came through to me. And I am so grateful that that happened, because rapid results is very, very business orientated, and I would have had a beautiful coaching career and I would have had a beautiful learning experience. But the richness that neuro-linguistic programming brings to a coaching practice and to a coaching conversation, I'm just so grateful that I got the opportunity to do that, because it's like the rapid results would have been a black and white beautiful textbook, and the neuro-linguistic programming brings in colors and tastes and smells. And so At the time, I thought maybe it wasn't such a good idea. Now I know it was a great idea. And I'm sure there's many
Mm.
people out there in the audience who can also talk about ideas, times when they've just been given the right opportunity at the right time and everything's just come together the way that they planned it.
So this is interesting, Karen, because the situation and the story you share with us, the personal life experience that you had, was about you seeing at the time, "Oh, this isn't quite what I want." Eventually, you found out that it was perfect for you. Okay, so now speaking of which, that life as a watch, you buy it and it's the right fit. You don't need to work on the time. All right.
Mm.
But then here again, it says some come with the wrong time. So it will look like that story was, I don't really want this. This time isn't right. And then you eventually adjusted your watch to the right time. Adjusting the watch to the right time is making the best out of a situation. In other
Mm.
words, you got lemons, you make lemonade.
Yes.
So life is like a watch. Some fit in, it's perfect time. Some look at it and say, this is not what I want. I want to read law. And then here I'm reading music, or I'm reading linguistics, or I'm reading uh, 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 fine arts, or whatever as the case may be. And then I make the best out of the situation. It means I have adjusted my time.
Mm. Mm.
In context, Karen, you talked about Facebook, you talked about Twitter. Incidentally, we're streaming on both social media um, platforms today. At the time, there was nothing like Facebook or Twitter. They adjusted their time ahead to create a solution that other people had to meet up with. So that is like fast forwarding your time.
Mm.
All right. Tell me about this, Karen. People are listening in now and they're wondering, how do I put myself in a position where I can adjust my watch ahead of time? Any thoughts about
Mm.
that?
Okay, yes. So one of the things that I think is it's important to reflect on is that they had those people had an idea, and people probably said to them, that's nuts. Nobody's going to use it. I mean, Facebook was initially started to rate girls' bodies at university. That's a typical boy pursuit. but somebody saw it and said, "Oh, I can make that better. And if we use it like this, we can change it, and more people will use it." And if you look at the increments that have come on Facebook and Twitter, and then you look at somebody who said, "Okay, but Facebook, there's too much writing. We want more pictures." So they've bought Instagram. And now we have TikTok, which just blows my mind. I mean, I struggle with Facebook and Twitter, and now all these kids are doing millions and millions of videos on TikTok. And everybody has their own special little thing that they're doing. And so my thought around this is, when people are telling you, no, it can't happen, or no, I don't think that that's going to work, don't discount it totally, but don't take it on board 100% either. If they're saying to you, I don't think it will work, ask why, and go and figure out how you can make it work with that in mind. So that you're using their advice to build on your idea. um, the other thing is, before you even get to getting advice from people, is just looking at what people are doing and saying, how can I improve that just a little bit? What's my passion? What's the thing that I would love to do? And to start with a plan. um, So I have a little process called dream, decide, take courage, and act. So we've all got to start with that dream. And so many of us in situations where we don't have tons of resources are saying, yes, I have the dreams, but I can't necessarily do it because I don't have money, or I don't have the time, or I don't have the support from people or my parents or the government or whatever it is. Don't let that dream go. Clearly, my dream was always to make a difference in people's lives, and it's just found expression in different ways. So allow your dreams to find expressions in different ways. And once you've dreamed about something, find one small thing that you can do which can move you closer to that dream. And then figure out what are the barriers and what is the help you need to move it forward. So once you've decided, you go into a little courage chamber. I think a little bit like Harry Potter's magic wand. What are the things that you need? Do you need the advice of somebody? Do you need to do more research on the internet? Do you need to see what other people are doing? Okay. And then once you've figured out what that is, get that help, get that courage, remove the barrier, and then start to act. So, and one of the things I said is, if I'd started my coaching practice in 2008, even if I was just coaching one person a day, a month, I still would have coached 12 times 10, 80
120
people already. No, more, 96 people already. Yeah. And yeah, absolutely, I can't do maths very well. And they create more memory muscle, and they create more skill, and they create more knowledge. And so don't say, because I can't start my whole leather business, for argument's sake, that I'm not going to do anything. Maybe just start with making belts or bracelets or something you know people will want, and have that
right.
dream. Decide on what you're going to do. Take courage, remove the help that you need, and then act and do one little thing. Because every little step that you take is like the second hand of that analog clock ticking round. It's one step closer to your goal. So yeah, I know I haven't always done it. So take my advice. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. Learn from mine.
That's interesting, Karen. There's so many things you said. I didn't want to stop you, but I'm going to pick them one after the other. The first is the model. You share the model, Karen. Design. Can you share that model again? Gradually, some people are listening on different parts of Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, so they can take notes if they want. The model for making sure that you set your time ahead. Okay. Okay. So you said
Yeah.
design.
So the first thing is to dream. Okay, have a dream big, see the whole
Okay.
picture, because in your mind, the more you think about it and the more you tell your mind you want it, it's going to give it to you. Okay, that's one of the fundamentals of The Secret. The next thing is decide. So make a decision. I want to have a whole leather processing business and make suitcases one day, but decide for now that I'm going to start it by making belts or bracelets, something that is within control. So it's dream, then decide what you're going to do, take courage, and that's removing the barriers, getting the advice, getting the help that you need, and then take action. So act. Dream, decide, courage, and act.
Wow. 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 Dream, decide, the courage, and act.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. This is powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the life class with Charles. Life as we see it. No holds barred, no airs around it. What's working, what's not working, what have I not tried? That's really the spectrum of life. So you're listening in now from any one of the platforms, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Share your comments. What questions do you have for our guests? What contributions, what observations are you making? Write in. Let us even know where you're listening in from. Okay, what part of the world are you listening in from? All right. It's also a networking platform. Okay, wherever it is you're connecting from, on any one of these channels. It's interesting that we're talking about life is like a wristwatch. And there's something you said, Karen, when I asked that important question about those who set the time ahead, the wristwatch ahead. So you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that when you started working, you would always set your time a few minutes ahead so that you can prepare early. Okay. And the real power behind that action is that you said for people who want to set the time ahead, number one, don't let anyone discourage you. Don't let anybody tell you it's not the right time for it, it won't work, etc., etc. Okay, these are the naysayers. If you're convinced about your idea, dream that if you're convinced about your dream, now it's time for you to move forward. Take that dream into a design and begin to take action. Powerful model shared by Karen here. But then she said something. You also mentioned that you might not be innovating something new, but another way to set your time ahead is to look at what already exists. How can I make it better?
Mhm.
It's Facebook today. What will it be tomorrow? You could be the next idea that the whole world will turn towards. I mean, there are over 1 billion users on Facebook. That's an incredible number. Okay, I'm not on I'm not on TikTok yet, but that there's TikTok. I mean, there's Instagram, there is Twitter, there is Snapchat. This is are springing up everywhere. There's WhatsApp, and then there's Telegram, and then the different options. Ideas continue to stream. There's something I need to ask you, Karen. When you adjust, you are the one who adjusts your time ahead. You are the one that does that. You do that yourself. Why is it that when we fast forward the time, soon enough we become used to the new time?
You can't make changes in your life without creating changes within you. And so you, as a child, you think as a child, and then you go to school and you think differently and you get the opinions of your friends, and then you may go into the world of work where you will be exposed to the thoughts of a lot of people probably quite a bit older than you, which is going to change the way you think. Or you will go to university where you will probably be, or college, or technicon or something like that, where you will be exposed to a lot of people with very radical ideas, and there's the whole spectrum there, and you can choose where you want to fit in. But when you make the decision to fast forward your time, you're making a decision you're making a choice for you, which is amazing, and the best thing you can do for you to start off with. And as you grow into that, you're going to change. So when you look back, you're going to see those people who said to you, "Oh no, I don't think you should do it. Everybody's doing it. Why would people want to come to you?" And you're making a choice for yourself and saying, "Because I have something that is valuable to people, and I bring my own special brand to it." And so you will look back at them and go, "Okay, I now see my world differently. I have a totally different perspective to what I did a month ago, 6 months ago, or a year ago," especially if you've gone through a steep learning curve in that process as well. When you're starting a new business, when you're trying a new venture, so many things are not going to work. And that's the time when you're going, "I'm putting my clock forward." Yes, I knew there were going to be some things that wouldn't work because nobody's ever done this before. But if you can pick yourself up, keep on turning that hand forward a little bit, you will get there. You will figure out from what didn't work, you'll figure out what might work next time. And it just gives you another opportunity to carry on and try. And I think that can't help but change you.
It all sounds like action, action, action. Whether it is the right time or it is the wrong time, it appears there's always something we can do.
Hmm. Absolutely. I have another experience. I have a very smart little sister she's a computer programmer, and but she also has a passion for changing the world. And she decided we were going to grow microgreens, but we were going to grow them indoors aeroponically under lights, because as climate change changes our environment, we can grow them indoors. It's a natural source of food, and we can grow it all year round. It's not affected by weather or seasons. No, very few people had done it aeroponically. So, if you go into a restaurant and they have those sprayers to cool it down, that's called aeroponics, where it mists the water. Anyway, we went into this and we did it for a year. And at the end of a year, we looked at the business and decided it had made very little money in that year, even though we'd worked super, super hard and worked in various different markets and everything. And when it came to close it down, we both knew that we were probably about 5 years ahead of our market. Because if you're going to grow microgreens and they cost a lot of money to grow, you need to take them for the nutrient value, not just for sprinkling them on food. And right now, everybody just wants microgreens for sprinkling on food. But in the 2 years that I've coached since we've done that, I've so often gone back to my experiences in trying to get that business going and looking at the various marketing models and costing models and all the things that we tried over and over and over again to make things work. And with hindsight, I can see if we had grown another possibly faster growing crop that was bringing in money on a weekly basis, we could have continued a little bit more with the microgreens because we had something to sustain us. Um, Little lessons like that have been very, very profound for me, because I would never have learned it. If somebody had said to me, no, you need to do this and that at the beginning, I would have gone, no, 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 we know what we're doing. We're going to do it. But now looking back, I can see where we could do things differently. I never ever see it as failure. Nothing in life, when I'm coaching young people who don't know what to do with their lives, don't know how to spend the time that's coming, I always remind them, choose to do something, because no learning is ever wasted. There will always be a time when you can reflect on it and where you can use it in different situations. And so nothing is ever a failure. Nothing is ever wasted. There's always the learning. There's always a way to use it in another situation. And so for me, that's the most important thing, is to be able to take the lessons and build upon it. Remember, I said every step you take gives you more learning, gives you more insight. And I think that's what makes it such an amazing time to be alive in this time of our Earth's time
This
span.
is so this is so powerful, Karen. I can't thank you enough because you struck two chords in your statement. You struck two chords. The first chord is you're not sure what to do, but just keep doing something because no knowledge is wasted.
Mm,
When the wristwatch or the clock keeps moving and moving and moving, it tells us something. The time counts forward, never backwards.
so
So
true.
if it's 10 minutes after 3, 20 minutes after 3, the next time it will be 10 minutes after 4 in 1 hour. So just do something. You never know when it will be useful to you. Learn something, make an effort, just keep moving. Reminds me of what
Mhm.
Martin Luther King said. He said, if you can't run, walk. If you
Yeah.
can't walk, crawl. But just keep moving. That's
Mm-hmm.
like a watch. Just keep moving. So that's a major
Mm,
chord you struck, in what you said,
mm, mm.
you know.
Absolutely. And I think we are all in different circumstances. So we might look at the Kardashians with their beautiful watches that are absolute fashion statements. But how has time treated them? You know, they look like they have a very glamorous life, but when you start looking at everything that gets shared about them on social media, how happy are they really? And so when we start looking outside of ourselves and we start trying to, we feel that we lack because we don't have what people like that have, we give our power away. Whereas when we're starting to look at our own watch, and it might be a little Casio digital watch that only tells the time, or it could be one of these fancy sports watches that tells you your pace and your heartbeat and your exercise, or it could be that Gucci watch which has diamonds in it, which makes a beautiful statement and costs a lot, but doesn't do much more than tell the time. Um, the time that each of those tells is still the same, and that is the value that you have in your life. And so if you can take that, take whatever it is, wherever, whether it's great or whether it's humble, whether it's a lot or whether it's a little, and just say, what can I do for me? And know that whatever you can do that moves you forward, like you said, with that hand of the watch, it all helps, because you can never go back. That's another thing with a watch, as you said, it never goes backwards. If it goes backwards, that battery is dead, and you need to change the battery. So if you find you're going backwards, maybe you need to change your battery. And is that battery um, uh, something, learning something new? Is it seeking help from somebody because your battery is depleted, because you've been giving and giving and striving and doing everything you can, and you just can't see a way out of it? And it might then just be finding somebody who helps you to put the power to recharge that battery. It could be finding somebody who sees the world very different to you, finding somebody in another part of the world and exchanging ideas. It could be finding information on the internet, but something that starts to put that charge back in your battery so that your hands start moving forward. And sometimes it will be a very quick thing. Sometimes it's going to take time. Um, I look at the people in I want to say Croatia, and I know it's not Croatia, where the war is. Ukraine,
Ukraine?
sorry, Ukraine. You look at the
Ukraine.
war in Ukraine. A lot of those people, their time is standing still at the moment. If there's anybody moving forward there, they're an exceptional person. So sometimes you also just need to bide your time. You need to understand when it's time to let time go forward a little bit and rebuild that energy, and make sure that you're going to have enough battery power to get you going forward when you do need to go forward. So yeah, it's different situations, but don't let the situation determine the decisions that you make.
Hmm. Hmm. Do
I
not
don't know
let
if
the
I answered that question.
don't let the situation determine the decision that you make. That seems to say that you need to be in control. The watch is in your hands. You can wear it on your wrist. You can put it in your pocket, but you have control. That's a powerful statement, Karen. The wristwatch, life is like a wristwatch. You do have some control over that watch. You can decide to look in and say, I don't like this time. I want to set it to this time. You can set it forward, you can set it correctly. And when it stops working, you can reach out for a battery and change the battery. Incidentally, a week ago, we looked at life like a battery.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting. We look at life like a battery, and now we're talking about wristwatches. How you can set the time of your wristwatch. Again, Carol, you said something really very powerful and profound. The choice is yours. The perspective is yours. I realize that even if the watch is faulty or the time has stopped, that watch is correct at least once every day.
That's true.
Amazing, 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 amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live class with Charles, Life as We See It. And we're talking about life is like a wristwatch. We're sharing perspectives and stories and experiences. Carol is in the room and she's telling us what her experiences have been with life as a wristwatch. She's told us about a business venture where she went in there, saw it, decided to make some adjustments when she realized what she could have done differently. It was really innovative. It was far ahead of time, but she had the wisdom to adjust the time in order for it to be productive. Hopefully, Karen comes back to that business adventure and idea, and that we all can cotton up to that idea as well. People are watching now, Karen, and some of them are saying to themselves, how do I get comfortable with my own time? Do you have a word for them, Karen?
Hmm. So what is comfortable with my own time? Is it accepting what you have now, or is it creating something different? So if I'm thinking about getting comfortable with my own time, I think what I'm reflecting on is probably looking at my situation and understanding that that situation is what it is. Um, we're here, we're all in the places that we are because of certain decisions that we've made. Sometimes decisions have been forced on us. As a teenager, you don't have a choice about which room you stay in. Mom or dad tell you which room you're going to stay in, or your circumstances dictate that you share a room with five brothers and sisters. It's all everything is different. But you know what, I love what you've just said, Charles, as it's bubbling in my mind, is getting comfortable with our time is understanding what is, and not trying to, not yearning for something that it could be, and not looking back and yearning for something that was. It's about looking at it now. And there's so much um, information in the media about being mindful and being present and staying in the minute, in the moment. And there is when people look back and they live in the past, it creates pain. Okay, when they, especially if it was a difficult past, when people are constantly worrying about something that's going to happen in the future, it creates anxiety, because you're thinking about something that you can't control. And so you're creating problems in your mind that have never happened, but your mind believes that they could happen, and it's producing cortisol and adrenaline, which puts your body into stress, which tires you out, and you're living in this future that might never happen. A good example is a mom whose child goes out to a party and they have to come back with friends. And if she's worried about the car accident that might happen, or the trauma that's going to happen, by the time that child gets home, She's stressed and her body's got tons of cortisol and adrenaline in it. And the child walks in the door and says, "Hello, mom," and gives her a big hug. And she's sitting there all stressed and strung out. And we don't often, I've over exaggerated it, of course, but we do that in our brains all the time. So accepting your time now and being comfortable in your time is so important, because it gives you a strong, strong foundation on which to build the next minutes and hours. And it's the time where you can dream, and you can start to decide how you're going to use the rest of the minutes and hours that you have. But you start from a strong and what's the word, realistic foundation. So if I want to start a cell phone company, but I don't have R1 million or 10 million rand or whatever it is, what's the next way to get in? Do I sell SIM cards, or do I sell airtime? And there are many programs to allow you to do that. And then what would I need to do? Now I've realized I can't, I'm not hating my now, because I've realized that I might need to go and now ask an uncle or an aunt for a loan, but I can, it's more attainable than the 10 million rand that I could use to be a cell phone magnet. And I think the same goes for leadership. When you're in your environment, I have so many people who say, I always connect with people and say, I want to connect with leaders. And some people come back and say, but I'm not a leader. And I say to them, are you a mom? Do you run a household? Did you manage your studies when you were at school? I say, well, you're a leader. And it's that whole thing of moving, not being comfortable with your time, or not seeing all the value and all the magic and all the brilliance that is within that time. And when you can start doing that, and you can start seeing the strengths and give the value to the things that you've brought to this world that have added value, and it just creates that beautiful foundation, and it allows you to just move to the next level that you want to.
Karen, you said not what was or what could be, but what is. Living in the now as the one way to be comfortable with time. As a final question, Karen, I have a watch. You got a watch. I need to ask you, how do we set, at what time is the best as far as setting the watch is concerned? Ahead of time, behind time, or right on time?
Oh, now that's a loaded question, isn't it? Oh, so what I have learned is you can't control time. Okay, but you can control you. You can control your choices. You can control your reactions to things. You can control what you learn next. You can control what you bring into your life. So what I would say is, whatever time you have, use it wisely. And because you now know that you need to have a dream, and you have to make a decision, and then you have to just go for it. I would say that the right time is now to do that. Don't leave it till tomorrow, because tomorrow 10 other things will come. If you've been listening to us now and you're going, I know I had this idea, I know I want to do that, write it down now, make a decision, because, and then tomorrow go and look at it again and make another little decision, make another little plan, and visit it every single day. Because if you don't visit it on a day, it's easier not to visit it the next day. And then it's like, oh yeah, but I ran out of time. So the time for doing things that are important to you and that are going to make a difference in your life is now. And just remember, there's always, like I have on the top of my diary, there is time, there is always time for things that are important to you. So if it's important to you, if it's going to change your life, then just give it a little bit of time now, or plan that time and then honor yourself and stick to that time.
Wow.
I know that wasn't a straight answer, but it's the best I can do.
It was important, So all you ladies and gentlemen that have your wristwatches, you want to set the time ahead of time. You want to set the watch ahead of time. You want to set your watch behind time, or you want to set the watch on time. It's your watch. Do what you want with it.
That's it.
All right. Thank you so
Beautifully
much,
put.
Karen. In this final moments, I'm going to be reading the live class again, and when I come back, I'll do the credits. Life is like a wristwatch. Some come with the correct time, some come with the wrong time. Some fast forward theirs to be ahead of time. When the time is right, all you need do is abide by it. People who do this are those born into greatness. When the time is wrong, you pull out the crown, look at the right time, and correct it. People who do this are those who achieve greatness in spite of the odds. When you force the time forward, then you're setting your own record and making greatness greater. People who do this are those who make history. What is it by your time? The life class with Charles. Thank you so much, Karen, for coming on the live class with Charles, sharing with us from your depth of knowledge, making difficult conversations seem so easy. I like to really appreciate you and let you know that your being here means so much to us and to everyone who is listening in today, Karen.
It truly has been my honor. Thank you very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as the live class with Charles will come to the end of today's conversation. It's your watch, don't forget. What you want to do with it, set the time ahead, set it to the right time. Whatever you do, just make sure that you do not stop, but you just keep moving. And like Martin Luther King said, if you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. But just keep moving because life is like a wristwatch. Thank you for coming. Till you join me again next week, be the best, the very best. Bye for now.